Okay, this is the City Events and Recognitions Committee meeting of Wednesday, April 19th, 2023, not 2022, as it says on the agenda. And go ahead and call to order, Chair.
All right. I would like to acknowledge that we rest on the traditional homelands of the Puyallup people where they make their homes and speak the Lachute Seed language. I would like to call to order a meeting for City Events and Recognition Committee. Do we have anyone to approve our agenda?
Motion?
A motion to approve?
I'll motion to approve.
Thank you, Cecily. Second,
I'll second.
was that
Jacob.
Jacob.
Jacob? Thank you. Sorry, I wasn't looking at the computer.
Second.
No minutes from March 15th due to lack of a quorum.
And then do you want to ask for yay or nay?
Oh, I'm sorry.
All those in favor?
All those in favor?
Aye.
The agenda.
The agenda. All those opposed? Excellent. All right, now may I move forward?
Yes, ma'am.
So we will move to chair comments. I don't have a lot because I feel like we have a lot of things to go through, but thank you all for being here. I am sorry that I wasn't able to be here at the last meeting. We had some family emergencies, but that's a story for another day. So welcoming week discussions, reviewing notes from March 15th. Does everyone have their notes available?
Okay. Alex, do you have your meeting minutes? I mean, meeting notes from, sorry, do you have your notes and agenda? Or do you need me to share that screen? I know it's going to be difficult for Keani because he's probably on his phone.
I have my notes.
Okay, great. Go through this too, and I can help.
Yeah,
fill in the
so,
blanks.
because I was not here for that, so I will give that over to one of you to chat about.
So at our March meeting, which did not achieve a quorum, but Kirsten and I were both here, as were some of our other staff people from TVE. We had a lively and very informative discussion with Rayshana Ware. It was great. With Rayshana Ware from our Office of Equity and Human Rights. And also 3 members of her committee that she is the liaison for, that same role that I have with you guys. It's called the Commission on Immigrants and Refugee Affairs. And Chair Imani Donaldson, Maricruz Valdez Castro, and Maurice Lakia. And they joined us. One was in person and 2 were on Zoom. And then they just talked a lot about what it means to them now, as a number of years have passed since the city had become a welcoming city, which in the terms of what that means is that instead of being a sanctuary city, because of all of the different sort of political agendas and that sort of thing, and having a detention center here, they chose to become a welcoming city. And doing so, they joined a national organization of what called, this is called the Welcoming Cities Organization. And Welcoming America is the name of it. It says right here in the notes. And there's a welcoming week is a couple of weeks in September. And they talked about what it means to them individually, each of the 3, and Rayshana shared what it means. And so the bullets expressed by those members are at the top there. So some goals expressed by the 0 members included. And so you want to talk?
No.
No? Okay. Use this opportunity to, I always want to make sure, taken over. Use this opportunity to make CERA, that's their acronym for their group, their presence known throughout the city with a focus on what the commission does and uplift its good work. And so they are a policy setting commission, and they have really made it their mission to give recommendations to our city council on how to work with immigrants and refugees, and what it means to have a detention center in our great city. And, you know, just all of those, it's sort of like heavy lifting. It's not the most fun in the world, but so they like to celebrate what they've been able to accomplish with Welcoming Week. They want to build bridges among all the cultures throughout the city. And they want to recognize that expression of culture may be a new concept for second and third generations. So if you think of fresh off of into the country, they are English is a second language, and they bring all of their cultural richness with them, and they try to pass it on to the next generation. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes that next generation, embraces a few things that they really want to embrace, and then they become their own type of culture. So they really wanted to make sure that people understand that the residents of this city, made up of a lot of rich cultural groups, also may be challenged in their own families in celebrating that culture. And then they want to be the beacon to welcoming new people and cultures to Tacoma by using this Welcoming Week. One thing that I need to follow up with Rayshana on, they did attend welcoming, or wait, that's not yet. So they are
coming up.
attending
Yeah,
next week.
Next week.
Next week is a very busy week for them. They're going to be attending the Welcoming America Conference, and I believe it's down in California, but don't quote me on that.
Okay. it's
And
not
they're
here.
going to come back after that and share with us what they learned, because that's where they're going to be able to really sort of pick the brains of some of the city's representatives that have really embraced Welcoming Week and done something big with it. Now, they understand that there's not a lot of planning time, so they're not planning on doing something really big in 2023. They've recognized the Welcoming Week in social media in the past, but they haven't done an event. And so we talked a lot about what that might look like and what kind of synergies they could develop with CERC. And I said, well, here's what the expertise of CERC is, and really focusing on recognition being an expertise of this particular group, and saying that celebrating individuals and groups that have done above and beyond, and really given back to their communities and make their communities a better place is one way that this committee really celebrates those people. And so I said, you might want to consider just launching a light version of a recognition awards program. And you could partner with CERC in putting out nomination forms and reviewing those nomination forms, but working together with those, because to educate about what CERA is trying to do in our community on such short notice is kind of difficult, and to expect this committee to try and duplicate that doesn't make a lot of sense. And so I said, that's one thing that you could consider, is to do that, and then have a small event where the public can come and see, or it could be at a council meeting where someone is recognized in front of the council. There's lots of different ways that you could slice this pie to start out with. So we'll hear more about that probably at the May meeting. We might want to invite them back. I will do some research with Rayshana once I know she's back, and I can talk with her about it. And then I gave them a budget sample, which is attached, because we're going to talk about the budget for City of Destiny Awards. And then some of the other nice to haves that they'd like to consider, like, is doing either a poetry competition or art or dance competition, or have auditions. Like, that used to be the way we got performances for the Martin Luther King Jr. event, was held community auditions.
I didn't know that.
Yes. It was a
I would love to do that.
It was a
Sounds like a
nightmare.
Oh,
I didn't
really?
say that to
Okay,
them,
all
but
right, all
yes,
right.
it was very difficult to manage, but it's a nice idea.
Tacoma Idol, hello.
And then the other exactly. And then the other thing they want to do is consider having a designated welcoming champions, which I love that idea because then you can like sort of say, "Bing. Okay, starting 2023, September 2023, you are a welcoming champion. Wear the sash, do stuff all year long,
Mhm.
and then hand the scepter to the next, or the crown to the next group of people the next year." So, those are just some ideas. You guys have some expertise and experience now, looking at suggestions for recognizing people. And I think that's someplace where you can come together, and it would probably be a subcommittee, just so we don't have a quorum. And yeah, so that's welcoming week and CERA in a nutshell.
Thank you, Kella.
Good job. Yay.
Are we not allowed to ask questions because they're not here?
No, you can ask all the questions you want. It'll be recorded. I'll record those and I'll
Yeah.
send them on to them. So please do.
So it would be a CERC panel would probably review these nominations.
Yeah.
So like special committee, like you said, the money,
They have.
they have to
some-
come up with, they have to come up with their own. It's not our,
Exactly.
okay.
So
Okay.
they applied to the Office of Equity and Human Rights
Mhm.
for some funding and they got $20,000. I don't know if that's for the biennium or if it's for 2023, but they said that they'd be willing to spend it all this year and ask for more next year because they're not afraid of asking, obviously.
Mhm.
And that is because they didn't come with a budget, right? They didn't come with funding like CERC did.
Right.
Because this committee already had an established plan and an established budget that was just handed down through the years.
Mhm.
So I suggested, the other thing I suggested was that they shouldn't be afraid to go out and do fundraising. So I don't know if they're allowed to, but maybe that's some other place that they could gain some support.
Yeah, I think that it's a lovely organization. I know they tried to come to us last year to work with
Yes.
them and it just was
Was it
also.
last year or was it 2020?
It was-
It's 2021, maybe.
Maybe, but it was
I remember looking
close.
at
It
it.
was like very
It was
close.
your
and-
first year.
Mhm.
And I remember looking at the website and being really underwhelmed, but then
Yeah.
they said, everything's really, it's changed. It's
Yeah.
gotten more relevant to them. And that they can make it whatever they want. And yes, it is a lot of swag and a lot of stuff that you could buy and all this other stuff, but they don't need to do that.
Mhm.
They just, yeah.
Cause I think that was part of the confusion was just, what is this
Mhm.
exactly? Like, what does welcoming week mean? Like, what does that mean?
Right.
Cause to me, that means a lot of different things.
Yeah, and it wasn't up to us to try and figure that out. It was this.
Yes.
They came to us and they
Yes.
said, this is what it means to me. This is how we
Yep.
want to use this. And that was a complete 180. I
Mhm.
mean, from the last time we talked. So I was really happy.
Well, this is far more of a definition, just so everybody knows from when we were first proposed this is not what we got. It was just an invitation for Cal and I to like go to welcoming week. And we were like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
No, this is good. I think it's important to support this cause. And as far as I'm concerned, like I would like to work with them and we could form subcommittees to do so. I have other personal thoughts, but maybe those aren't relevant right now.
Are they considering these nominees at a local event eventually? Like, will they be presented? And what you were talking about earlier, Kala, with the torch being passed from one to the other, will that be like
An
a
event.
one
It-
might call it?
That's what they would like. They'd like to do something. I mean, here's their grandiose idea. They would like to do a week of things. And I said, well, okay,
Lot.
let's use that as a
Big
what do you call it,
dream.
BOHAG?
Blue sky. Sure.
Yeah.
Right, you put that out there like 2 years from now,
Mhm.
because you've got a whole budget cycle you can go through for a new biennium, and you can ask for that funding in a new biennium, or, because we've already been through the mid-biennium adjustments. Let's not do that. But you're gonna learn so much in April at the conference, and then you're gonna come back and you're gonna want to do something, but we're going to be here to rein you in, reel you in,
Mhm.
if you will, and keep it real and possible. So yeah, I think what it's going to end up being is some kind of City of Destiny Awards light, or something like that, where they're recognizing individuals for doing great work in this particular area.
You know, if it's brand new, it seems like it might be a fun playground to play with
Sure.
different kinds of formats.
Yeah, absolutely. And
see what-
they're totally open. They're
Yeah.
open to anything. Yeah. So that could be the really fun part, is brainstorming, you know, what does this look like? You know, where should we hold this? Let's have it at the detention center.
I was gonna say Courthouse Square, but
Any of events at the detention center, trust me.
do they really?
Oh, yeah.
I think having them recognized by council is important. I think that that's always a nice thing to do. It feels very official, and it feels very much like the city is showing that they care and they've paid attention, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I also think having a smaller, light version of City of Destiny Awards or MLK is also great, just because I think that having the what should I say, the ceremony part of everything is just nice for people. It's
Mhm.
inspirational, and it kind of makes you feel included and recognized, which is our point. And I mean, I like this. We don't really do anything for the newer members of our community.
Yeah. And there was one, I remembered when we were talking about this and talking about the possibility. And of course, anything could change. They could come back next week and say, no, guess what we really want to do? And then, you know, we'll have another
Mhm.
discussion.
Mhm.
We're running out of time. It's going to be the discussion. But we did have, I remembered that while we were talking, that we did have one gentleman, and I can almost remember, I can see his name, but I can't remember how to say it. He is a lawyer who does pro bono work specifically for immigrants who come here undocumented. And so I thought, you know, we are already recognizing people through the City of Destiny Awards that sort of fit into that. And
Mhm.
wouldn't it be nice to realign that kind of recognition with an event that happens at a totally different time of the year,
Mhm.
right? So anyway, one thing I want to find out is if there is a council member who is a champion to this commission, because I don't know that. So,
Oh my gosh, I love him. Joe Bushnell.
you think?
Yep, 100%. Yes, 100%. He's our very first of Asian descent council member. And he is great.
Besides Mayor,
No,
Mayor Strickland?
she was of Asian descent.
Yeah, half Korean, half Black.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Mhm.
He received a recognition at the Lunar Festival that we were at. And I can't remember the exact title.
Oh, okay. To look at that. Last year?
No, this last, was it February?
Yeah, the Lunar New Year.
Mhm.
Festival. Okay.
But he does have a title, and he is very proud of it. And I can't think of what it is. Gosh darn it. I feel bad now.
That's okay. I can look it up.
I'm sorry to Mayor Strickland. Oops.
Okay.
But I think he would be a great advocate from city council that would participate in this for sure.
I'll check with Ray Shauna too and see what kind of involvement he might have. There was a time when these committees, commissions, and boards were, you know, getting some representation from the council at their meetings, and we've never really had that with this group.
Mm.
But I know Arts Commission has regularly, so.
Well, I have some of their numbers in my phone. I'm happy to invite them.
Share. Do you want to?
I didn't know that they used to come to these. I've never
Nobody
seen them. Yeah,
So, like,
here. I mean,
Do we
yeah.
have any public, no attendees, okay. Do you want to take any action on this at this point in time, or do you want to wait and see what they come back with after the conference?
In my opinion, they need to be invited back after the conference so that we can discuss this further, because I really do like this outline. But like you said, it could change after they get together with a group of people and develop their ideas.
Yeah. They could come back
Which I
with
love that you don't, right, we just don't know. I would just say, I guess these are my thoughts that I have. I love this and I think it does need support. Right now with the boards and committees and the people that I hear speak all around Tacoma right now, I'm just getting very worried that we're getting, we're kind of losing our own. And I see so much homelessness and I see so much poverty in Tacoma. And I know we can't give an award for that. And that's like not something to be recognized. But I am just really concerned that we're overstepping people. I don't mean this, how do I say this in the right way? I don't want to overstep people that were born here that just kind of got
Can't make
shit
it.
on their whole
Yeah,
life. And now we're not taking care of them and we're celebrating people that are immigrants, which my family's immigrants.
Yeah.
I am fourth
Most of us
born
are.
generation, Finn, like I totally get it. And I want this and I have friends who are immigrants and I love it. And that sounded bad, but you get my point is that I feel like if we're going to recognize everyone, we also have to make sure that we're trying to look at, I don't know, I guess this is part of City of Destiny a little bit, but like those that are helping homelessness and those that are helping poverty and lack of education. I feel like we're kind of missing the mark as Americans of taking care of our own people right now. And I don't mean to sound however you want to label that, but it's just something that's on my mind that I feel like we need to also include in possibly new events or other things that we
Yeah,
decide to
Well,
do
that
as a
was
committee.
really a big part of Dr. King's work.
Right.
So maybe we can refocus there.
Yeah.
Well, I tried to do
I know.
that because nobody wants white people involved, but
Well, yeah, there's
you're
that.
welcome. I have moved that mark a little bit. Yeah.
So the,
Yeah, I mean,
and also just don't forget that one of the awardees for City of Destiny is Tim Fairley, who is
mhm.
himself a former unhomed
Right.
individual, and he's unhoused advocate.
Houseless is.
Houseless is
They
the new
don't
one?
like that. They don't like it.
Of course
It's
not.
very weird.
They
Yeah.
have a home. I don't know. Anyway, so he is receiving that award and he's very responsive to the whole thing. So I think.
Well, and
he's-
maybe he's someone that after City of Destiny Awards, we could bring in just to bring back this topic if the
I like that
committee
idea a
is on
lot.
board with that, just because I just feel like there's a disservice happening and I want to kind of bridge that gap.
Can we add that as an agenda item because I actually have that as a note from way back in January when I was just writing thoughts. Like how can
like
we
me to-
recognize our voiceless
Voiceless?
neighbors?
Ooh, nice.
Did you say voiceless?
Yeah, the voiceless,
Yeah.
AKA homeless, unhoused.
Mhm.
I don't know how I was gonna frame or reframe the conversation, but just inviting them
Yeah.
and or us sticking our noses. I don't know, just to humanize it more. Yeah.
Sure. I think that that's fantastic. And I think that also in January, when a lot of those notes were mentioned, it's during MLK and we had a lot going on. So I apologize if that was overlooked.
Oh
at
no,
all.
this is this is completely separate from
Yeah.
that
So
minor
So I
fiasco.
put down, Kiana, I put recognize the voiceless individuals in our community somehow. So
Yeah,
if you think
I
about
put
that, if you
I put by
ruminate-
profiling. I don't know what that means or what I
Oh,
meant by it in my notes, but
if you ruminate on that and you come up with anything, more you want to just send it, shoot it over to me and I'll add it to the agenda for next time. Okay.
If I can spitball something really quick, I think it would be great to have advocates like our awardee that's coming, people who have experienced homelessness and come out of it, and having no voice. But then also maybe it is a small dinner where we bring people in, like we can go to different shelters, we can go to different organizations, and maybe like how Cecily did with Girls Hearts on Fire, maybe we can get some folks who have been recently unhoused, who are trying to get back into the system and get them fitted for the dresses or, the fancy clothes and give them a nice dinner and like a little gala, if you will. Just to say, hey, we see you, you're doing good. And I don't know, something of that nature.
I appreciate the conversation and figuring out ways that we can incorporate and not look over the unhoused in our community, because that is a huge issue. Right now, we're seeing that everywhere. And I think that, but to also just to kind of chime in a little bit on Welcoming Week, and is it CERA? Is that
Yeah.
there? Okay. And the work that CERA is doing. I also feel like sometimes it's like, how do you, there's a phrase that my husband says, it's like, how do you eat an elephant? And it's one bite at a time.
Yep.
And I think that there's a lot that will go into really being intentional about healing Tacoma in the aspect of poverty and the unhoused. And I think that with each group, we as long as we do what our purpose is in each of these groups, I do think that it benefits the community as a whole. And that by hopefully supporting those who are coming into Tacoma specifically, brand new to the area, making sure that we can, I think making people feel celebrated is one thing, but also sharing resources so that way we can maybe prevent some of the things that happen to make people fall into poverty, because I feel like we are all like one, choice or circumstance away from it becoming a reality. So just kind of like, hey, okay, so CERA does this work where they're trying to, or not trying, but they are wanting to really focus on folks who are coming in and are brand new to Tacoma and making them feel welcomed, making them feel celebrated, making sure that they have the things or access to resources that they need to thrive. That could be one way, right, to support folks and kind of always having that focus on making sure that people who live in the city of Tacoma can thrive and making sure that they have the access to the things that they need to hopefully help with some of those other issues that we are having. So just all that to say, I really appreciate what CERA is doing. I think it's going to be great for us to figure out a way to support them in that, whether it's a award ceremony or helping them kind of build out or think of ideas, I guess, similar to what you were saying, Jessica, figuring out a subcommittee maybe within our group to kind of help them brainstorm ideas on what the building of that full week could look like in the next couple of years or so. But yeah, I think I'd love to just kind of see what that looks like and support however.
And I think that's beautiful, Cecily. Thank you. I think also maybe as I heard you talking, what might be nice too is besides just having a gala or a fancy celebration is like a community outreach fair that had people in the community that can help either unhoused or newly, immigrated folks to the city come in and just know housing and know lawyers and know even just translation of how to use things. Right. Like,
or connecting with other local business owners, because a lot of immigrants will come and already have ideas or established business concepts. So how do we support them in, making sure that those things they're connected to just different communities within Tacoma to be able to thrive. So that way we don't assume that there may be a need, but that also they're coming and they're bringing something with them and that we need as a community. So just kind of looking at it from like the glass half full perspective, and I'm figuring out like what are ways that we can highlight all of those things.
And I think our goal as a committee is to bring the community up, whether it's in celebration or recognition, or also putting people in touch with others.
Yeah, absolutely.
To help them thrive and be their best, because we are all better together.
Yeah, for sure. We'll always circle back around to our MLK slogans.
Is there a reason why that week is, are they married to that week in some way?
The September week? It is, okay.
It's a national week.
Yeah, I think it's a national thing. I was trying to go onto the website.
I think the 9th is the actual day that their big thing was around.
Yeah.
So the dates in 2023 are September 8th through the 17th. It's like kind of the top of the notes there.
But it's
Um,
right. So
What's
yeah,
that?
I saw that, but it's a
Okay.
national observation. Is that
Yeah.
It is, yeah, it's a whole network of
Okay.
people across America, and then I guess just different communities can like sign on, just from my quick overview of their website.
The reason I ask is
mhm.
because just in terms of airtime, it's also, they might fight with September 11th a little bit, but
Mhm.
And I would say like Labor Day holiday vacation. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we kind of talked about school would probably have already started by then,
Mm-hmm.
so,
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere in the midst of that, yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
But that could be a fun thing that schools want to get involved with
Right.
too.
That
if
was,
we,
that was
yeah.
kind of
Mhm.
what we were.
I mean, I
especially-
could even see community organizations. I was not even aware of this, but after looking at the website, it's like, well, how does my organization become a part of this? How do we support the young people who are, whose families
Right.
are immigrating here? Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm all in. Tell me what we're supposed to do. How can I help?
I love it. Perfect. Well, that was good. All right.
Are they expecting like an action item from us where is this just kind
Not
of like a follow-up, like give us info type of thing? Or are they
Sounds like they
hoping
need to
that
give us,
Yeah, we're
And
waiting on
Yeah.
them.
Okay,
So it'll be probably the first week of May that I really get a chance to sit down with Rayshana and pick her brain.
okay.
Or maybe she's gonna have some notes. I gave her all of these notes and she didn't have anything to add to them.
Mhm.
But I know she will once they get back.
Cool.
perfect.
Probably see her at T-Town.
All right. Thank you, everyone. That was a really great conversation. I feel like we got some good ideas and goals there. Shall we move on to staff updates
Yeah.
with Jasmine or Tammy or Brian or all?
I'm actually going to talk base for Gerald because he couldn't make it today. He told me to let you guys know that the community events coordinator position has gone up and is closing this Friday. He said it would be great if you guys could share on LinkedIn, on all your social medias channels, and the posting is live on our end to be able to be shared. And you can also get a direct link at tacomadome.org/employ-me.
Excellent. I have over, and I don't know how this works because I'm on the panel. I have like 3 people that are applying. How does that
Awesome.
work?
I don't know. Tammy,
All right.
Tammy's the lead on that.
No, that's fantastic.
She just unmuted herself. What you got to add, Tammy?
Oh, Jessica, I was just gonna say you will receive paperwork in
Yes.
resources department on how you can, you may have to recuse yourself from
Certain
those
people.
interviews.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'll follow up with you on that.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else, Jasmine?
And then just a friendly reminder that T-Town is next weekend. It's the 28th and 29th. It's a free community event where we're gonna have lots of fun activities like Touch a Truck. The Tacoma Police are gonna bring their canine unit to have everybody meet Odin and Colt, which is
Cute.
and then we're also gonna have some backstage tours as well.
Okay, these aren't the dogs that attack people, right?
No.
It's probably the drug sniffing dogs,
Yeah.
which would really be fun. See what I can bring with me.
So
We'll
I
be
will not
posting
bring my
pictures of
dog.
them later this week, so you
Oh,
guys.
that's so
can check out
cute.
this week.
That's fun.
Love it.
Yeah, but that's it.
Thank you, Jasmine.
All right. Brian, did you? Oh, no?
Well, I have maybe an update. We probably only got about, I don't know, Tammy, maybe 4 viable candidates for seats on the committee here,
Oh,
because a bunch of them were out of city limits.
yeah.
And I don't think the new staff person, the city clerk staff person knew not to send those to us. So I was
Mhm.
like reading through all of them and going, wait a minute. This one shows out of city limits. Oh, so did this one.
Okay.
So there was probably 6 or 7 And they added your
Thank you.
previous one, and you're fine. And then about 3 or 4 of those were out of city limits residents. Because it's okay for some of the commissions
Mhm.
to be, to, you
But
know,
not
to work in the
ours,
city
yeah.
or to own property in the city, that kind of thing. So I don't know if we're gonna have to go back out to repost it, but I will find out more. Right now, the schedule is to, the interviews would be on May 24th, so.
And I think that that is a little bit hard because we are district approved, right? So like, I
Yeah,
mean,
you're representing a councilmanic district.
so we couldn't
yes.
have like 4 people from downtown Tacoma.
Right.
But I think that's what also makes it difficult, right? When looking at all of this.
Yeah.
Is that ever something
It's a
that could be
puzzle.
changed or it's all,
Well, that would mean that you would have to designate those at-large positions, because all the other positions, unless you want to completely blow it up and do something completely different. So that's up to
Okay.
you. I won't be around.
thanks.
Well, we
Sammy?
have, Kelly, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but there are 6 at-large positions.
Mhm.
And we currently have 3 of those that are open. And
Mhm.
some of the applicants that applied that live outside of Tacoma, work in Tacoma,
Okay.
and have ties to one, for instance, works for one of the cultural organizations in Tacoma, is involved in events. So in my mind, has a great background to fit within this committee.
Mhm.
So I don't know what the rules are for changing the rules of the committee, but it sounds like if it's possible for other of the commissions, committees, and boards that work for the city, it may be possible that we could change it here too. And Callie, you can tell me I'm wrong if I'm wrong.
No, you're not wrong. So the nice thing about the rules and regulations for this particular committee are rules and procedures. They're not regulations. They're rules and procedures, is that they are not set in stone. They're not, they're set on paper, virtual paper. And it does mention residents, so that they're Tacoma residents that are representing districts appointed by the council members that also represent those districts, right? So, but it isn't in your face. So you could go in and change it, but I don't know about timing wise. You'd have to approve it at the May meeting,
Mhm.
any change, and it's supposed to do this. You're supposed to have like, we're gonna make a change now. Everybody votes to accept that change,
Mhm.
but then you have to go to the next meeting and actually say, okay, that
Mhm.
we're implementing this change, and it's live as of
Mhm.
May 2023, right?
Mhm.
So, I mean, that's the reality of being one of these, sort of, yeah, when you got Robert's Rules of Order and all that other stuff.
And
So-
just to give some, like, I don't know, now that I'm hearing this out loud and thinking about how I think about things, I think it is important that those that have power in their community do live within the community, but I also feel like it's not fair to us. Like, let's say there's 5 more people on Hilltop that want to come in, or, you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
That's
I
what
wish,
those
like-
larger for, right?
but I wish we could have more.
Yeah.
Like, I wish it wasn't so district focused. Does that make sense? Like, I wish that it could, I do think you should live in Tacoma. Like, I think that is important, but I just feel like because we do have a hard time pulling people in, that we're gonna get certain kinds of folks that probably live in a certain neighborhood that are gonna have a certain point of view that will want to volunteer their time. And now we can only pull, 2 in at most with an at-large and a actual district.
I mean, I think that there is, I hear that point, but I think this committee, because of its nature, already tends a little bit towards the downtown area in its focus and its activities. And it's important to have some of those chairs set aside for and kind of the less populous, and specifically like the more residential neighborhoods. So much of Tacoma is just residences where events won't necessarily happen, but those, I think that hearing those voices, going back to kind of an earlier topic, and making sure that those neighborhoods, even if they choose not to participate, their right to have a reserved seat waiting for them when they are ready to do so is important. Like doing away with those seats because they are not presently occupied, I think removes this representation of like, this chair is here for you. When you want to come and sit at the table, there is a place specifically reserved for you and your voice.
That holds
Now,
a lot of value.
And here's another consideration. There is a provision to have non-voting members. Okay, so like you can have someone attend who is involved, who has a voice of some level,
Mhm.
but is not a voting member. And those people are usually on subcommittees.
That's what I was gonna
Remember,
say.
we had that discussion
Mhm.
before where you can invite them to be involved, but you really are trying to get to 11 seats filled, and right
Yeah.
now it's 6. So
Is there any way to find out which districts are not getting applications so we can like somehow go after them? Like, do we all need to like,
I was pulling up the map right
do you know
now.
what I mean? Can we all go out to district blah, 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 who hasn't
West
filled out
side,
any?
the west
Right.
side of Tacoma is really lacking in representation, and that's not just this committee.
Mhm.
It's on so many different levels. I mean, when we were looking at the events list of
So
people who wanted to be
what's-
funding.
What's the
Mhm.
west side?
Well, it's a mix of
Show me on them.
District 1 and District
So Keone is 1.
So West End, correct?
no, Keone is a large. at
Oh,
large.
he's an at-large. Okay.
We don't have
But this
anybody.
this is truly West, correct?
That's the West End neighborhood boundaries,
Okay.
but the councilmanic district is a different boundary.
Of course
There's
it
a
is.
map for that though on the. city
We're
website.
looking at
it.
one, but it seems to not quite be accurate. Well, it's something that I just think we could look into and figure out, maybe brainstorm ways to be able to promote and market towards the districts that we aren't receiving a lot of feedback from, and just reach out maybe in our own network of people we know that might live in those neighborhoods.
Mhm.
Because I agree, we shouldn't, my first thing was to fill up chairs, but I agree, this is kind of put here for a reason and everyone deserves representation.
I
I
will,
also feel like I think we have some action items then, like what can we do to make sure that folks won't even know about it? I know before I was presented with this opportunity, I didn't even know it was a thing. I do now, but didn't know then. So I just wonder, how many other folks are out there not realizing that there are people behind the curtain with some of these major events that the city puts on, and things like that. So are there outreach opportunities for us, like
Yes.
community events, things like that, that maybe we can attend or
Yes.
table and get the word out there? Okay.
No, that's a good one. Jacob actually put together, and I need to share that, but put together a beautiful list of the events that we funded through special events that will be happening. And that is something, I'm so sorry, I do need to bring here so that we can all kind of divvy out which we can go to, because I think it would make a big difference if we could attend those events. I've already spoken to, which I thought I shared with everyone, but Lincoln District has the food walk. That's
Okay.
three Saturdays, I believe, in the summer. And they've agreed to give us a free table for CERC to be able to talk about nominations for MLK, nominations for City of Destiny, and for our group,
and for funding.
Well,
and for funding.
and maybe for the, gosh, what is it called now? It used to be the Ethnic Fest, Mosaic.
Mosaic.
Yep, maybe
No,
that
yeah.
could be something, because that's a major, that's a really big one too. So there are a
So-
few different places that we can kind of go to, and everybody pick one.
I will put that on my list, and if I need help, I will reach out to you guys. Cecily, you might be willing to do that, but
Yeah.
just contacting the organizations to see if they'd be willing to give us a table. I think they would, especially if
Mhm.
we're like,
Pride Festival is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
They always give us
Yeah.
one.
Cool. Yeah, I think that'd be great. I don't know.
cool. No, that's a
Yeah.
good idea.
I will go back and check what Jessica's talking about. There's a Google Calendar that I put together that I think I know it has everything we funded. It might even have a few that we didn't, but were just on the list. Interesting things for CERC to go and be at. And I can fairly easily just forward that calendar invitation to the top of everyone's inbox.
Perfect.
Thank you.
You can all see it again.
Jacob, since you're doing that, if it wouldn't be a problem, could you add maybe a column that people could just check and say, you know, like put their initials, like we need maybe 2 people per event to be there together. Like we can do this day, we can do that day.
Yeah, I can. Let me think about a way to do this, because
Just so it's something easy so that people can go, because I feel like sometimes we take a lot of time to come back and forth about who's going to do what, but if it could just be in an Excel document and we can all say, okay, well, I know I can be there on June 4th. I know Cecily can be there June 22nd. And then that way it's just there. We know who can do what and where we can fill in.
Sure. And we can, I'm happy to maintain it on a spreadsheet. The calendar that I will send, all of those events are on there. So as we kind of figure that out, people can just RSVP on that, like, no, I will not be coming to this one. Yes, I will be coming to this one. And we can have those kind of mutually updating where it lives on a spreadsheet and then also in calendar for quick reference.
Perfect.
Oh, that's nice. So they're already GCal events or.
Correct. They are all Google Calendar events.
How
And
did
so
I
because
miss
the only thing we have to make sure is that we don't have quorum. Like
Oh.
that's the other,
Right.
right?
Yeah, so
Yeah, so just
tracking
maybe
who's
put-
a yes and who's a no, we can't have at present.
Correct.
Mhm.
So I figure if we have 2 to 3 would be perfect. I don't think anyone should ever have to go alone.
Yeah.
But I think up to 3 folks, what is a quorum, 4?
It's 4.
So 3 of us, each event, if we can.
Cool.
Just stop.
I'd
All
like
right.
to raise my hand for T-Town if Kala, Jasmine, Tammy, Brian could set something up. I'd love to walk over to the T-Dome and do something. I don't know,
Awesome.
whatever.
So Brian, which day of the event do you think Keanu would have the most
Traction.
action?
We welcome you guys to both days of the event,
Okay,
Friday
either
from
day.
10 to 1 and Saturday from 10 to 3.
I can do Saturday from 10 to 3. I have nothing at courthouse that day.
Then I could do Friday.
And we're just looking at not the entire time, but just maybe making an appearance and, you know, for an hour, hour and a half. You don't have to stay for the whole thing unless you really want to.
Well, will we have like a booth we can hand out applications or?
I'll talk to Brian about
Okay.
that tomorrow. Are you in the office tomorrow, Brian?
Yep.
Okay, good. We'll talk about that. What does
Really
that look
quick,
like?
is it the 29th and 30th that we're discussing or
28th and
29th?
29th.
28th and 29th. I can definitely join on Friday if that's the date that's chosen. If we want to have a couple of people, I can help on the Friday.
Perfect.
I love it.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Okay,
All right.
we will get back to you toot sweet.
All right, so can we move on to budget?
Yeah.
Yeah, this isn't going to be a long conversation, but I just wanted to share this with you because it's something that I sometimes forget that you guys are interested in the budget. And this is just a snapshot of what the 2019 actuals were, because that was the last time we did it in person until last year in 2022. So these are both actuals and then estimates. So I'm asking Jennifer to make sure that I got everything correct in here. Venue rental, that's the ones that, and there's some typos that Tammy fixed on the, and then I printed this out before she made those. Anyway, so the overall, we have about $17,000, and of that, 7,000 goes to Jennifer for her event management.
Amen.
Amen. That's right, best $7,000 I ever spent. And then everything else is sort of, I mean, it's basically what we have traditionally spent on City of Destiny Awards. And so when I look at that, that means that we've got $10,000 to spend on everything else, and everything else is what you're seeing here. So what we aren't going to be spending, we're not going to be spending $4,668 on the Pantages this time, when they really wanted to charge us $9,000, by the way, which that's what would happen if we did it there again. They would not give us that same rate that they gave us last year. That was some arm twisting on Adam Cook's part. Thank you, Adam, Uncle Adam. But the other things are sort of have to haves. Catering, I think, is probably going to be about the same, unless we cut it in half and say, don't make so much food. We only do Facebook boosts, what are they called?
Yeah.
Boosted posts.
Boosted
posts.
Yeah, boosted.
So that's not going to really change all that. It's not going to go down. The sign language interpreters, that's pretty standard that we spend on them. Sierra was $1,000. We've spent as little as $600. Let's see. Entertainment, that's always a variable. Never know exactly what it's going to be. And then the awards are the glass, the nameplates, and the stands that they go on. And those are pretty, I mean, those go up every year because of cost of materials. So, and my budget doesn't go up every year. So this $4,668 is probably the area where we'll have to find out from, I mean, I have it on my to-do list here that we talked about earlier with Jennifer, is that I'm going to find out how much labor do we actually have to pay for. Jennifer's going to talk with PJ Hummel to see if they're even available to work the event. And what kind of assets do we own, and what kind of assets do we have to, assets like pipe and drape and tables and chairs and that sort of thing, just so, you know, in my language, do we need to rent? I need to find out stage size and that sort of thing. And I know that the stage building and the, you know, like even the if we use the house lights and we use the house sound system, we don't pay extra for that. That's included in rent, but we don't pay rent. So it's just included. So I just wanted to let you know, it's a work in progress. We need to estimate cost for this year because it's a really different space than we've used before. And it's our space, and parking's free.
Oh, that's good.
I mean, you
That's
know,
nice.
You don't have to charge for parking. So all of those things are still to be determined right now. So we should have that within the next, at least within the next week. Jessica, would you like to talk a little bit about so the entertainment, food, and then sponsors? Those were areas that you had talked to us about earlier today.
Yeah. So for entertainment, we were talking about earlier, we have a couple dance groups that may come in, including the Tacoma Ballet is interested in joining us. As far as bands, I have an acoustic player. Some of you may know Sam Parker that I have kind of briefly talked to. He's great. And then also 48 Degrees, which is a band, all Tacoma locals. So I think it would be great if anyone else has any suggestions that we can reach out to. One thing I do like to ask the bands is, you know, are you willing to do this, you know, at no cost for sponsorship for the city? But we do have this little small budget. And we have about 4 spots that we could put entertainment in for this show, the way that Jennifer kind of laid it out to make it work. So if anyone has anything to add, please let me know for entertainment, just because I do want to kind of get that on the books. That also is going to help decide what we're going to need for stage, how big of the stage, pipe and drape, where we can lay things out, you know, how the council members will walk up, things of that nature. So that's something to think about. As far as food, A Pizza has mentioned that they might want to sponsor for pizza this year. However, pizza freaks me out a little bit with going into a theater of any sort and sitting down. Just, I don't know, it sounds a little messy. Devour Catering did say that they would come back. Kala and I discussed with Jennifer and Tammy that perhaps we could cut some of that food in half because we gave a lot away at the end of City of Destiny last year. So we could probably do that. And then as far as sponsorships, right now I am speaking with FC Group and J Squared.
Awesome. I wonder if, when we were talking about entertainment, I'm assuming, I mean, are we wanting the entertainment? I'm just kind of thinking about like, how can we incorporate some youth possibly? And I'm thinking of this Soda School of the Arts.
Yeah.
There are a couple of students that I've seen perform like spoken word. They have some inspirational pieces. They've done some dancing. They have singers, a pianist, like they've got everything at that school. I just wonder if that could
I
be.
think it would be great to include the youth and incorporate them if we can. And then also having spoken word, Jennifer would probably like that. Someone that just has a keyboard because it's easy to move. Because that's
Yeah.
something else that we have to think about on the stage. Either something, a band that doesn't take up a lot of space or something that's easily moved on and off stage.
Yeah, I can try to reach out to their dean, but then also that leads to my next question with the event planner. What parts of these things, and like when it comes to like hiring on vendors, like a photographer or I don't know, whoever else, is there a application process? How can we support, I guess, as the committee to get that out further? Or is there like a preferred list that the city will work with? And are we being intentional about making sure that BIPOC folks have opportunities at some of these?
Sure, that's a great question. I can answer that, and Kala, please correct me. I was never given a list. It's always been people that I just know from the community that are willing to participate and maybe not at their full rate. Right? Because we don't have that much money to go around. But I think that if you have any ideas of folks we should reach out to, email Kala and I, and then we can reach out to them. Is that the process?
If what you're looking for is to get like 3 bids, I guess we could do that. We'll probably, yeah, we could do that.
I just want to be intentional about how we spend our funds and making sure that we're opening up the opportunities, provided we're able to do that. And it's not just by a specific list that the city has us to work with.
No,
I
it
just
isn't.
didn't know if
We're
there
not
is.
restricted. We're not restricted for these kind of events.
Okay.
But if that's something that a committee member would like to step up and maybe volunteer to do, that would be great. I know I'm trying to focus all of my energy kind of on getting this situation with the number of applicants for the committee that's happening at kind of the same time. And I have a really strict deadline of May 1st. I'm just reading the email now, Tammy. So
I think
I don't know how you want to handle that. Maybe
I think for this year, I think Cecily, it's a great idea. And maybe if you want to head this up, and it doesn't have to happen necessarily for this year, but putting together a list and then creating something that we can start putting out. And maybe Gerald can do blasts and just saying, have you ever wanted to, sponsor or cater or do, something to do with these programs that we have. I think that that's a great idea. I know as far as the photographer, the mayor had mentioned that we have a city photographer that we can hire. That's cheap. Is that true?
I mean, I don't know what that means.
She said that we had a city. She told me after MLK that she wanted a photographer like we had at City of Destiny. And I said, okay, well, we didn't really have a budget for that. And she said, well, we always have a city photographer. You just have to call them.
Yes, so the Media and Communications Office does have a photographer. His name is Brian Cox. And if he is available, then yes, we can get free photos done.
Okay.
If he's available, yeah.
Because we already pay for their services.
Right.
It's not free.
Yes, no, we do
Worked with
pay
him
for
with something else.
it.
Why do I know his name?
Brian Cox.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's like an older
Like the actor?
Mm.
from Ireland or wherever
Yeah,
he's from.
on Succession.
That's
I just- I
actually
feel like
really
he
good
had sent me
information though,
emails for
because
photographs before.
yeah, if we have someone on staff who, if they're available, is able to do it, that's that's $1,000 savings
Right.
that we could put towards whatever else we would need to with costs rising. So that's something to consider. How do we do that? Do we have our, would Jennifer be able to email him? Is that something that one of us committee
No, I'll
members?
do,
would be-
I'll take care, or I'll work with Tammy to make that happen.
Okay, then we can figure out next steps.
Yeah.
Because I did think it was really special at City of Destiny Awards, the photos that we came out with that. Like, there were some great photos of the Daffodil Queens and all the awardees and the city council members against a backdrop that Tammy brought. I thought that was very special. I felt like at MLK, we kind of missed that part. Not because of our own doing, but I think photography is important.
Agreed. So I can definitely try
You
to
have
draft
a photographer. Who did
Yeah.
Girls Hearts on Fire?
Cat.
Yeah.
Yep, Cat. Oh my gosh, I'm not even. I'll put it in the chat, but I'm not going to try to pronounce her last name. I'll slaughter it. But Cat's amazing, Catherine. Yeah, she's amazing. I just know, like, some of my work that I was doing with First Five, we were just being intentional about equity and diversity and inclusion, and figuring out how do we incorporate that into, you know, how we spend our dollars and how we
Mhm.
support other local businesses. So I would love to draft something, and then we can maybe start there with, as a
Yeah.
committee in the future, and just like edit it, adapt it however we want to, that would fit our kind of ideas.
Yeah, I feel like for City of Destiny, just because it is so close, having Calla
Yeah.
and Tammy kind of figure out if we can use Brian Cox, and if not, we should reach out to Kat.
For sure, yeah.
And does she charge for her services?
She does, but I think I could probably talk to her about fitting in our budget. I'm sure she'd
And
be.
we offer sponsorship, you know, that you offer sponsorships for people that, and frankly, the $7,000 that Jennifer charges is a deeply discounted price compared to what she would charge some of
Yeah.
her other clients.
Mhm.
And so she always gets mentioned as a sponsor.
I love
And
that.
the photographer that we used to use in the past, Maddie, Photo and Sound, he would do a sponsorship price too. That's why it was $600.
Wow, okay, cool. Yeah, I can definitely, I'll reach out to Kat as a plan, you know, as a backup plan, just in case we can't. use,
Availability wise.
Yep.
Yeah, one of the expenses that we're gonna have to incur would need to come out of this 4,000 whatever, is someone to do the decorating. And, you know, that's
Would that not
something,
be PJ Hummel?
well, or someone from her staff. So Jennifer's gonna reach out just to find out about availability
I
and,
feel like they're so expensive.
well, exactly. So that's my only concern. But somebody's got to do it, so.
Maybe we can check around
we
too
do
for some
it?
other options. I was gonna say, there's gotta be some options that we can maybe look into. I wonder, or just share and figure out if we can cut some costs.
I think having a sponsorship package, which Cecily, we should meet and kind of chat and work on that, because that's kind of what I'm trying to do as well, just for cash sponsorship, but for having like in-kind donation with,
Mhm.
you know, photography and things of that nature, it would be really great to have a,
Oh my gosh, yes, donations, time, talents, treasures. I always say that,
Yeah.
like, who does this for a living? Who loves it? Who wants to come
Right.
and share
right,
and
Right.
donate those things? I think that would be great.
yeah. Any more comments on budget?
I just have a question.
Yes.
If our expenses are going up, why isn't our budget? How do we fix that? Because if we're
council?
at the same number for the last few years, but everything is increasing around us, how do they expect us to?
I don't know,
Thank
have you listened to any of the council meetings talking about budget and deficit and all that stuff?
Yeah.
That's why.
Oh, geez.
That means that we just have to tighten belts and do what we can when we can and ask for sponsorships and that sort of thing, because
And I think, and Alex and I have talked about this too, and it's hard to say, to make a case with city council to go to them. When you go to city council meetings and you hear so many people talk about the unhoused and talk about education and talk about the potholes and like all the things and crime and then the police department, and there's not enough money. The last thing I want to do is be on a committee that is pulling away, you know, $20,000 more out of the pockets of the citizen or the community to go towards this. I mean, I get that we need it and what you're saying makes perfect sense, Cecily. It's just, we're living in such hard times. It's hard to justify a party when there's necessary needs not being met. Does that make sense?
No, yeah. As the executive director of a nonprofit, it makes more than sense.
Sorry, get it. Yeah, sorry.
I totally get it. I'm just wondering, then maybe we can also, because like the big ticket items, you know, are probably going to be venue, right? And food. And so maybe we can get folks to, I don't know, I just keeping that in mind, then like, how do we get folks to see the difficulties of fundraising for space? And then seeing if we can get folks to donate more of that. I don't know.
And I think that's just us creating like sponsorship and more outreach ideas. So we can chat about that. Can we make that an item to talk about next meeting? Or
That sounds good.
I'm sorry, I'm getting.
I know you are. I'm sorry.
We're running out of time and I want to respect everybody's time, but one of the big items that's on here that we probably should have moved to top was, is to have Jacob give us an update on the special event funding program and the guidelines, the application and the timeline. And so that we can start to flesh that out a little bit more. Jacob, is there any updates that you want to share right now?
I have a couple of files, as is my tradition. I'll mail them out after this meeting, maybe a little bit later on. I have built out, in our meetings that we had in our subcommittee, there was a lot of conversation about making sure that we were walking the line between an objective and predictable kind of stable slate of criteria and the freedom to acknowledge intangible benefits that specific events might bring that might not be reflected in kind of a strict template. So I made some updates to the shared document, that guideline document that we have track changes running on. And I've built out, based on our criteria, then some national grant program criteria samples that I found while I was just kind of running around and taking a look at stuff. I've built out a couple of spreadsheets that might serve as a proposal. Unfortunately, I'm not physically there in person, so I can't talk through them. That was entirely my plan until this morning, was to be in the room with y'all, so I apologize for that.
It's okay.
But here, where that project stands right now is I should, by our May meeting, have a proposed updated draft of that guidelines document that we can all take a look at and have some feedback on, and some sort of grading. I hate using that word. That word has a lot of objections associated with it, but I cannot come up with a better one. Scoring. There we go. Boy,
we also don't like that word. We have to think about a whole new word.
We have to think about vocabularies. But yeah, some kind of a framework for setting perspectives on these applications. How's that? A way to
so many words. Yes.
Guide an evaluative framework for approaching and analyzing these grant applications. So that is those are hard documents that I should have, that I have rough versions that I'll be able to have out to y'all this weekend, and much more firm and votable sort of feedback, not votable, feedbackable versions, more formal versions will be available for next month. I'm hoping to have, I know we're looking to get the application, the evaluation process kicked off by the end of summer. Is that still right? For events next year?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I will have a formal draft of those documents on our May meeting that we can take a look at, take feedback on, and
I
hope
can't believe it's already summer.
finalize.
Oh, it stresses me out.
Here it comes.
It's not. Okay, so action should be taken at the May meeting. Is that what you're hoping?
What I'd like to do is between meetings, I will have these docs out to y'all shortly. If between meetings there could be some commentary on those that I can take into account, so that in May what I'm presenting wasn't created like entirely in a vacuum. I'm happy to have.
So maybe convene the same group that that we convened previously about this particular subject.
Yeah, that was what I was about to suggest. I will, like I said, I'll have these docs out this weekend, and then I am gonna go get married, y'all.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And that will be next week and through the 3rd. But if somewhere in that week from the 8th through the 12th, we can have that, we can reconvene that same group, talk about some of that feedback that was generated, and then in that subsequent week, I can knock together a formal V2 second draft that the committee can take a more formal look at.
I love that. I am personally out of town until May 15th. So I could meet then-ish. If that matters.
I'll let you guys
Figure it out.
set something up. I know Brian set up the meeting last time, so
Yeah.
he might be willing to convene that, but he's not gonna be able to think about it till after the 29th.
So we're all getting married.
He's getting married. No, he's getting married next month, but I'm talking about T-Town. That's his baby.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
It's all about him. Okay. All right, so that will be on the next agenda again.
Perfect.
And then I don't
Yeah,
think.
and I apologize. That was meant to be a little more elaborate, and I got blown up.
Gotcha. I'm gonna send out an email request to like split it up into 3 to see which ones, you know, who we just need 2 people to be on the June 15th city line appearance. So I'll send out an invitation for that, and then you guys can duke it out. So I don't have to spend a lot of time on that item.
Excellent. Do we have any public comments? No.
I can't see the screen because my glasses are old. 0 people, no public
Excellent.
comment.
Perfect. Items for future agendas. I feel like we kind of covered that, but did anyone have anything else to add? Excellent. Well, shall we adjourn?
Yeah, good job.
Motion?
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
You may say yes.
I move we adjourn at 5:29.
Second.
I'll second.
Thank you. I'll approve.
Yes.
Anyone decline? Great, we're adjourned. I'll see you guys in May or before that, I'm sure. I'll see you in the elevator, Cecily.
I was gonna say, I'll see you in the hallway. All right, everyone. Have a good one.
Have a good night, everybody.
Peony, I'll see you on
you.
Friday next week. Bye.
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 She's delightful.
I love her. She's great.
People make me want to cry. Nothing to do with this. It's just looking at my phone.
What's going on? It's blowing up all over the place. Let me stop recording, okay?
It's just my jobs.
Yes.